Hello everyone, welcome back to Clarity Tarot and Astrology. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys are all doing very well and are excited for Jupiter entering Cancer. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what Jupiter in Cancer actually means. I'm going to explain how this is going to be playing out in the real world, the changes that we can expect to see on the world stage, how this is going to be affecting us collectively, and I'm also going to break it down for each of the 12 signs so everyone understands how this is personally affecting their life. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and keep on watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel and it keeps me motivated to keep making videos for you guys. If you aren't already subscribed to my channel, do consider subscribing. And if you like the way that I interpret charts and you'd like to get your personal birth chart read with me, then I would be happy to do that for you, and I will leave a link for my private readings down below. All right, let's dive into the astrology. Let's talk about Jupiter in Cancer. Now, this is going to be occurring on June 9th, 2025, and it will go throughout the sign of Cancer all the way until June 30th, 2026. Now, it will have a retrograde period, a pretty long retrograde period, from November 11th, 2025 to March 11th, 2026. Now, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is the planet that rules over luck, abundance, expansion, growth, wisdom. It's a very optimistic energy. It's a generous energy. It rules over the husband in a woman's chart. It talks about gurus, fathers, people who give us spiritual knowledge and wisdom. And I always want to talk about the more negative side of things as well, just because I don't want people to get the impression that everything in astrology is always positive, because it's not, because Jupiter also does have a bad side. Because Jupiter can be so optimistic, sometimes it can overestimate things, it can be a little bit extravagant, it can do things to the excess, and it also rules over inflation, which we will continue to see. Now, it's going into the sign of Cancer. So what are the characteristics of Cancer? Cancer is a very nurturing energy. It's a very caring energy. It's reflective, it's feminine, it's intuitive, it's emotional and sensitive, and it's sentimental, and it's very vulnerable. On the more negative side, Cancer can be a bit moody, it can be touchy, it can be very smothering, very restless, and quite insecure and inconsistent at times. So when you put these two together, on one end you can see, wow, there is going to be more nurturing energy. There's going to be more caring energy. And wouldn't that be nice right now? But on the other side, it also can make people more moody, can make people more sensitive, it can make people more insecure. And we'll talk about why that is in just a moment. But for the most part, Jupiter loves to be in the sign of Cancer, so there definitely are going to be opportunities at this time, and I'll talk about what those opportunities are, but there also are going to be some negatives and some downsides that we should be aware of as well. So let's dive in now into what I think we will actually experience as a collective. So here are my predictions. First things first, we're going to see an increase in the housing crisis. Jupiter brings increases, and Cancer is about homes and real estate and families. So I think that we're going to see increased rents and increased mortgages, which you may be thinking, oh my God, how could things get more expensive than they are right now? And that's due to inflation. So things are going to get more expensive. So just be prepared for increased costs in relation to housing. Now, there will be opportunities, so stick with me. But when it comes to rents, there's a lot of investors who have put money into the housing market over the past several years. They've built a lot of quote unquote luxury apartments, and those investments need to be recouped. So even though it's going to be very difficult for people to afford higher rents, investors still are going to want to make their money. So that's why we're going to see rents continue to increase. We're also going to see the cost of owning a home continue to increase. And this is going to be in the form of property taxes. Those are going to continue to rise. This is going to be in the form of increased maintenance costs. So having people come out to fix things that happen on your home, those costs are going to continue to arise. And the big one is going to be insurance. That is also going to rise. So just the cost of owning a home, even if interest rates get cut and debt is cheaper, it's still going to be very expensive to own a home. And we're already seeing this in multiple places around the world, where it's actually cheaper to rent a house or rent an apartment than it is to own a home, just simply because the amount to maintain that home. And that's something that wasn't true for many, many years. It has always historically been better to own a home and cheaper to own a home than it was to rent. That is no longer true. It is now becoming cheaper to rent a home because of all of the associated costs with owning a home. So with that being said, as people are unable to afford the increased cost of owning a home, people are unable to afford mortgages as well, because a lot of people who did buy houses in the past couple of years, their mortgages are starting to rise because now their houses are being assessed. And, especially with people who bought new construction, their homes were initially assessed for just the land value, but now homes are being reassessed at the value of the land and the home. And so people's mortgages are rising as well. As that continues to happen, people are going to have to sell their homes, and there's going to be an increased number of homes available on the market. However, like I said, people will not be able to afford these homes. So what you're going to see is we're going to go into a buyer's market. It's already a buyer's market in some areas around the country. And do keep in mind that when I do talk about real estate is a bifurcated market. It's very different in different areas. But generally speaking, I do think that these are themes that we'll see in the majority of the market. So anyhow, people are going to be listing their homes because they're not going to be able to maintain the cost of owning a home. So you're going to have a lot of homes on the market. Now, again, people have invested a lot for their homes. A lot of people paid over asking price for homes, and they're going to want to recoup their investment. Okay, that's a theme you're going to see. People are going to be charging sky-high rates for their homes because of the amounts that they paid for it. But what's going to happen is that people are going to have to come to reality with the fact that some people are going to have to take a loss on their investment. Okay, and if people want to sell their homes, they want to move their homes and get them off the market, they're going to have to drop the prices. Okay, but I do think that we will sort of see a little bit of a standoff with home sellers and people who rent properties and leasing companies for a little bit of time. They will try to increase their rents and keep their rents high, but there's only going to be so long they're going to be able to do that before they're going to have to cave in and drop the prices. So I do think we will see increased unaffordability for a period of time, but don't worry, I think that will drop. Now, for people who are not going to be able to sell their homes, because if everyone's, trying to sell their home, then there's not going to be enough buyers, okay? And so eventually some people who just cannot afford their homes, they are going to be facing foreclosures and evictions. And we're already seeing this tick up because there were a lot of foreclosures and evictions that were in process during the pandemic that never got to happen because of moratoriums that were in place. So a lot of people kind of have been lucky, and because of the backlog of cases, have been able to be in their homes even as of now. But those evictions are going to start hitting the market, are going to start happening, and so we're going to see an uptick in evictions, and that's going to play out for a couple of years. Evictions and foreclosures take years to happen, and we're not even at the bottom of the market yet. Okay, once the South Node goes into Cancer in the next few years, that will be the bottom of the market. So we're not even close. So just understand that this is like a turning point that I feel that we're hitting in the housing market. So with increased foreclosures and evictions, we're also going to see increased homelessness, okay? And I'll talk about that a little bit in my next point about increased migration. But yes, we will see increased homelessness. Now, you may be thinking, isn't Jupiter in Cancer supposed to be a good thing? Yes, it can be, but Jupiter rules Pisces, and it's coming into the 4th house, and Pisces rules homeless people. So an increase in homelessness. Okay. A lot of real estate is going to be overvalued. Like I said, Jupiter can overvalue things. It can overestimate things. People can be very unrealistic about what their property is worth. And the reality is that something is only worth as much as people are willing to pay for it. And it's not even that people, are not going to want to pay the prices. It's that they're literally not going to be able to afford the prices. So there's going to be some investors or people who bought in the more recent years who are going to lose money on their investments. Okay. But at the same time, here's the opportunity. If you're someone who is well positioned right now, if you're someone who's been on the sideline, saving your cash, if you're someone who's been on the sideline, working on your credit, getting yourself in a good position, getting yourself out of debt, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the people who have been working towards this for years. And trust me, there are a lot of people who have been on the sidelines in the housing market for years and who are excited for this opportunity. So for those people, there's going to be, lots of good things that are going to come out of Jupiter and Cancer. And unfortunately, some people's loss is going to be other people's gains. So again, that's kind of like the way the cookie's going to crumble. Some people are going to be experiencing, some instability and insecurity when it comes to their housing, but then there's going to be other people who are going to be able to benefit from that. So just keep in mind kind of where you stand right now and what position that you are in. But that is the biggest thing that I think we're going to see with Jupiter in Cancer. The other thing we're going to see is an increase in migration, and this is going to be for multiple reasons. But Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about moving abroad, different cultures, foreign lands, and it's coming into the 4th house. So yes, we're going to see an increase in migration. And the main thing that people will be migrating for is affordable housing. So anywhere where there's affordable housing, we will see an influx of people moving to those areas. We're going to see people leaving high cost areas, places that boomed in the last couple of years during the pandemic. We're going to see a migration of people from boom towns into more rural or like the Midwest type of areas, or people that are going to be moving back home. So a lot of people left where they were living during the pandemic and moved to places that were more open, more free, places that maybe matched their political ideologies. And we're going to see people moving back home again because things have become unaffordable in those places, but also because people are just going to want to be close to family with Jupiter in Cancer, okay? Cancer rules family. So people will just feel better, happier, And, family is abundance. Having a good family is really great. So I think a lot of people in the last couple of years have realized that, they'd rather be with their family than, in this place that, is, quote unquote, more desirable. We're also going to see an increase in multi-generational living. We're going to see children moving back in with their parents, even older, children, quote unquote, people in late 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s, moving back in with their parents. We're going to see elderly moving in with the adult children, which honestly I think is kind of a good thing. Again, I think that families being together is always a positive, but it's just not the norm in a lot of Western societies. The Western way is, you kind of go off on your own, you create your own little ecosystem and your own family, and you're kind of like by yourself. But I think we're going to see a return to families living together and supporting each other, which I think can actually be a good thing. Now, we're also going to see an increase in people moving abroad, okay? You're going to see people leaving Western countries and going to Eastern countries or going to more affordable countries. Again, people are going to be moving for affordability, better quality of life. They're also going to be moving for tax purposes, okay? Some people are going to be moving to escape high tax rates. But the big thing that I feel you're going to see is places that, let's say, are not that desirable or maybe classified as like second or third world countries are going to have a big influx of Westerners or people from first world countries coming in. Now, initially, I think it can be a blessing. During the time of Jupiter in Cancer, it might be a blessing for these places to have Westerners coming in, but we've seen this time and time again that once a place becomes overpopulated enough, the problems start, and it can actually price locals out of having housing, okay? So again, the increased rents, the increased mortgages, the increased cost of maintaining a home, displacing people to make space for Westerners with money. This happens all the time in let's say, like I said, second and third world countries when they become overrun by Westerners. So I do think that we will see this. I think it will be a trend. I don't think it will be permanent. I don't think people will move abroad permanently. I think people will go for a period of time, maybe until things potentially get better in people's home countries. But yes, just know that I do think there will be some benefits for locals, but there also will be negatives and cons, okay? Immigration is hard. It's not an easy process. Immigration is a very difficult process, and not every country makes it easy for people to immigrate. So, again, some people will probably end up going back home by the end of this transit anyways, but we're going to see a lot of moving around with Jupiter in Cancer, okay? So be prepared for that, and that also is going to have an effect on the housing market as well, as there could be less potential buyers, and again, it's just going to make it a buyer's market. It's not going to be a good time to sell. People are going to have to really make a lot of concessions to sell because buyers are going to have the power, okay? So that is kind of what I see in terms of housing and trends at this time. Another thing that I am seeing is an increase in domestic travel, so traveling close to home. I think this is going to be happening for a few reasons. For one, financially, again, I think people are going to be spending more than the recommended amount on living expenses, and therefore people just aren't going to have the money to travel abroad as much as they would like to. Additionally, there's going to continue to be a lot of geopolitical instability, and that's going to turn people off from traveling to certain places or certain regions of the world. So people will be rethinking their travel plans and more than likely changing it to somewhere closer to their home, somewhere that feels safer and more secure for them. And also, there's just been an overall sentiment in the change, a change of sentiment in travel, especially with foreign travel right now, because of everything that's going on in the world. People, don't want to go to certain countries. They don't want to support certain countries. And so, again, whereas people would have been planning to travel to certain locations, they're not going to be doing so. And that's going to have an impact on the economy for sure. Now, the other thing that I feel is there will be an increase in domestic life. So a life that is just based around the home. And I think this is going to be for a few reasons as well. For one, I do see that we're going to continue to have an increase in unemployment, and that's going to increase throughout the summer and throughout the fall. I don't think we've hit the peak point of that yet. We're going to continue to see those unemployment numbers rise, and obviously if people are not at work and they don't have money, they're going to be at home. Okay, so I think financially people are just going to be at home. And because of that, people will be spending their money on things to increase or better their home or their living environment, kind of similar to what we saw during the pandemic, where there was a shift towards loungewear and people were really into doing renovation projects. I think we're going to see a similar type of thing like that. I also do think, talking about pandemics, it's very possible that we might have a lockdown or a pandemic, and this is due to the position of Saturn and Neptune that are making a square to Cancer right now and are going to be scoring off with Jupiter. So I do think it is possible that something like that can happen again. So again, I think it's a good idea for people right now to be really making sure your home is good. Invest in your home, take care of your home, take care of your family, make your home a nice place to be. I think that's a good way to be investing your money right now. I also think that we will be seeing an increase in home care. So I think that we'll see an increase in stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads. I think we'll be seeing more in-home child care, either performed by the stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, or maybe one mom or one dad choosing to watch all the kids at their home, as opposed to sending kids to traditional childcare, which has become very expensive and very unaffordable for many people. So I do think we will see that. I also think that people will decide to keep their elderly parents at home as well, as opposed to putting them in like a nursing home or even like adult daycare. I think we'll also see more care of people at home. And also same thing with like disabled people. They'll be cared for in their home. We could see an increase of like in-home health care. So if you're in those fields, it's a good time to be looking into this. But yeah, I think people will just be doing more things from home, and this will kind of tie into my next point. But just in general, look, Jupiter going into Cancer, more time with the family. Okay, and for some people, more time with family, that sounds like an incredible thing. For some people, that sounds like a terrible thing. But I think really, if you kind of are more on that, like, oh, that sounds terrible, use this as a time to work on your relationship with your family. Jupiter and Cancer can help to, heal some long-standing issues that might be there. And some people might be in a position where they don't have a choice. It's like you don't have a choice whether or not you want to be around these people because, again, financially, you might not be in a position to do something else. So if you do have a strained relationship with your family, I feel like this is a good time to work on it. And finally, I think that this will just be an opportunity for more people to get some more rest and to have some more time for self-care. One of the, you know, the silver lining, let's say, of maybe losing your job is that you do have a little bit more downtime, right? To take care of yourself, to rest, to think about what you really want to do. And, it can be a time for you to figure out what's important for you, and you can have an opportunity to change your life, which we'll talk about in the next point. Now, the last point that I want to make about Jupiter and Cancer is I think we'll see an increase in learning and working from home. And I want to say a caveat about working from home. I'm not talking about remote work. I think that is a trend that has come and gone. Companies are now wanting people to come back to the office, and that is why, another reason why we're seeing increased migration is because people need to go back to wherever it is they came from. They are no longer working remotely. So when I say work at home, this is self-created businesses. This is home-based businesses that you're starting at home. Okay, so just want to throw that caveat out there. But I also do think we will see an increase in homeschooling, again, for multiple reasons. Some people might be experiencing instability in terms of their living situation. They might be having to move from here to there and there. And it might just be easier to do homeschooling, especially for those who do move abroad. There might not be schools available because maybe there's like an increase in the number of children, or it's not taught in the language that your child knows. So homeschooling might be an option. I think other people will choose to homeschool because it's just a personal preference. With the way the world is going, people are, taking more things in their life into their own hands and not depending on the government to provide these types of services. So I do think we will see an increase in homeschooling, especially if a parent is choosing to stay at home. They might take on this responsibility. For those of you who don't have children, you might engage in some type of self-teaching thing or an online course. I do think we will see a decrease in people going to college. I think we will see a decrease in higher education, and I actually do have a friend that does work at a college, and she said, look, admissions are down. People are not choosing to go to college as much because, quite frankly, a lot of the degrees that are available, there's no jobs available in those fields, or they're being rapidly replaced by AI. So, going to school, I think, is going to be decreased, especially as well younger people are realizing the impact of student loans and can't afford to go to school without them, and are going to be choosing to not do them, and instead are going to be choosing online courses or learning online on YouTube as opposed to traditional college. I do think we will see a lot more people learning at home, doing self-guided school, online courses, and then taking that information and starting home-based businesses as opposed to, relying on employers, which for a lot of people, the employment market is a really, really difficult place to be. And I think, at this time, people will be deciding, let me just do something on my own. So, yes, that is what I see for Jupiter and Cancer. I think it's going to be, like I said, there's an opportunity, right? Even though a lot of the stuff may be coming about for negative reasons or, unfavorable circumstances, I do think there is a lot of opportunities to change course. And the reality is that we need to adapt to where the world is going, not to where it's always been. So if you're still hanging on and clinging on to the past in the old way, this is an opportunity to take a step back and come back to center, come back to your to the foundation of your life, and maybe to, you know, restabilize yourself. Okay. So now I'm going to move into the predictions for all 12 signs. I recommend watching these predictions from your sun, moon, and rising. And, you know, hey, watch them from the perspective of your family members. Watch them from the perspective of your friends, of your spouse or your partner. That way you have an idea of what's going on with them, and be sure to share this video with them as well if you think they could get some value out of it. So let's go ahead and start with the predictions. I will put timestamps down below. For Aries, sun, moon, and rising, you absolutely need to watch the first part of this video because everything that I talked about applies to you. But Jupiter will be in your 4th house of home, family, real estate, your living situation, the foundation of your life, your emotional well-being, and specifically your mother. So what you want to do is you want to embrace your domestic life, okay? Take care of your home, take care of your family, optimize your living situation. For you, this could be a really great time to buy a home if you're in the position to buy a home, and granted, you can find a good deal and a good situation. This can be a great time for that, or if you've been looking for a place to live, this can be a great time for that. But if you're not really well positioned at this particular moment in time, then this could see you having to move back home, maybe back to your hometown or back with family or being close to family. This also could see an expansion in your family as well. There could be a new family member coming in, either through birth or through marriage. But at the same breath, there could also be some type of ending in the family as well, as Jupiter rules your 12th house of endings. Okay, so this really can go both ways. So like I said, check in with your family, see where everyone's at, make sure everyone's okay. Just kind of keep a pulse of what's going on. That way you're not blindsided by any scenarios. You, Aries, are one of the people that very well could be moving abroad at this time. Or Aries, you could be traveling abroad to your wherever your family is from. Okay, so you could be taking a pilgrimage at this time, learning more about your family history. That can be very powerful for you as well. This is a time for you to invest in yourself, Aries, and to invest into your self-care and to do things that make you feel good. It's a good time to invest into your emotional well-being, and furthermore, to strengthen the foundation of your life. So Aries, anything that you want to do in this lifetime, the career that you want to have, the relationship that you want to have, the person that you want to become, the foundation for you is family, and it's home, and it's, you know, having a stable, solid ground to stand on, you know, coming from a good family. Everyone's taken care of, you guys are doing well. That's going to free you up to have the ability to go out into the world and get things done, right? If your family is not well taken care of and they're more of a burden to you, they're more of a liability than an asset, then this is a time to maybe turn that situation around, to, you know, maybe start perceiving your family as an asset, or start investing in them more so that way they're less of a burden to you, especially if you've been like avoiding family. This is not a good time to avoid family or avoid familial responsibilities. This isn't necessarily a great time, Aries, for you to be chasing status in career or to be prioritizing work over family or your home life. It's more important for you, Aries, to, again, work on the foundation of your life. And if you've been trying to be successful, you've been trying to achieve a certain status and it hasn't been working out for you for the past couple of years, you need to come back to basics. A lot of things in your chart are really showing that you need to go back to the drawing board or the starting line and start fresh, start new, and know that what you want to achieve, it's not going to come overnight. You've just started a new Saturn cycle. Saturn is what gives us status and what gives us, longevity. And you've just only started a brand new 29-year cycle. So more than likely, Aries, you've had a lot of breakdowns that have been occurring in your life for, the past 5-6 years. And so you're just now starting new, you're just now starting fresh. So start with what's in your control. Start with the basics. And the most basic thing is our roots, right? Start at the roots. Start with your family. Start with where you come from. Getting to know that, being proud of yourself, understanding your history. That's going to help you to move ahead, because it's very possible that you've just been trying to move ahead in your life without really grounding yourself first, which, is an Aries thing, right? Kind of jumping the gun. So you're kind of being asked, Aries, not just because of Jupiter and Cancer, but, even with Saturn in your first house, to slow down a little bit and really build things out on a nice strong foundation, and this transit will give you the opportunity to do so. Okay, so just embrace your domestic situation, try to improve your domestic situation, and know that even though it seems counterintuitive, actually by working on this, you are putting yourself in a stronger position. So good luck to you, Aries. For Taurus, Jupiter in Cancer is going to be transiting your third house of your communication and your mindset. So this is going to be a fantastic time to learn something new. You will have the capacity and the ability to take on large amounts of information. And also, it's a great time to communicate about anything that you need to communicate, because you'll also have a large capacity to speak to people. So what you'll want to do during this time is you want to learn something new, okay? You want to open your mind up to a new way of thinking. Now, this is third house. So the type of learning that we want to do is more self-taught learning or hands-on learning or trade school. So you want to learn a skill, okay? You want to do something where you can start working immediately, right? So getting into a new environment, putting yourself in a new place where, there's a different language, quote unquote, being spoken, not a literal language, but, putting yourself in a new field where there's all these new things that you've never experienced before. You'll be able to pick up this information like a sponge. You want to focus more on trade school because, again, this is more about learning a skill that you can quickly turn around and you can start making money, and you can quickly get in the environment and have the hands-on experience as opposed to going to college, okay? Because the reality is that a lot of college or formal education right now is based on the old system, and a lot of the jobs that these colleges claim you're going to get are not hiring, or they are switching to AI. So anything that is related more to an outdated mindset or an old way of thinking, you want to avoid that. You want to be in the now. You want to be in the new. You also want to learn skills for the future. You want to learn about finances, as Jupiter rules your 8th house of joint finances. So you want to learn about things like debt. You want to learn about taxes. You want to learn about interest. You want to learn about insurance, wills, things like this. And it also is a good time to learn psychology. You want to improve your communication, and a really good way of understanding communication is understanding humans, understanding how they think. That's going to help you to communicate better. And when you can communicate better and you can express your ideas better, then that's going to help you to be more valuable. Okay, so you really want to invest in yourself first and foremost, but you want to invest in these types of things. You're going to get more bang for your buck doing stuff like this. You also want to sort of let go of old mindsets, or, well, this is the way it's always been, or this is what everyone around me does, or this is what everyone in my culture or religion does, because everything's changing, right? And if you keep doing the old way, it's not going to work for, much longer. Again, we're already seeing this. We're already seeing tons of kids graduating college and unable to find jobs because you got to be positioned for the new. Okay, so that's really what you want to be doing right now, Taurus, is positioning yourself for where the world is going, what's going to be valuable in the future, and not just continuing to do the same old, same old. So good luck to you. For Gemini and Gemini rising, Jupiter will be moving into your second house of personal finances, resources, your savings, your material possessions, your values, your self-worth, and your self-confidence. So this sounds like a good thing, yes, and it can be, but this is a time where you really have to master your finances. And ultimately, Jupiter is a teacher. So if there's something that you're doing wrong or something that you don't know, it can be pointed out to you during this transit, okay? So if you're currently not in a great financial position right now, then Jupiter in Cancer for you is going to be more about learning about finances. If you are in a really good position right now, this is where you can be making more money, you could be saving more money, your material possessions can be increasing. So it really just depends on kind of where you're at going into this transit, but the biggest thing to do right now is master your finances. Know what's coming in, know what's going out, or know your net worth if that makes more sense for your finances. This is a good time to save money, to figure out what is your savings rate, what percentage of your income are you going to put away. You also want to determine at this time what is important to you financially, not just what people tell you should be doing with your money. What is important to you? What position do you want to be in financially? And then figure out, what is it that I need to do to put myself in that position. And that's going to be different for everyone depending on just where you're at and your age and your values. You also want to figure out what makes you feel safe financially. What's your level of, risk when it comes to finances, and what do you need to have to feel secure? So this is a really good time to put yourself in a good position financially, okay? And understand this is a year-long transit, so it's not an overnight thing. It takes time, but when you are at the end of this transit, you can be in a much better position with your finances. Maybe not necessarily that you're making more money, but that you just feel more confident about money in general, okay? So what you want to avoid at this time is relying too heavily on debt or other people's resources. This probably is a good time to pay debts. This isn't a good time to avoid your debt. So if you're sitting on large amounts of credit card debts or student loans, this is not the time to avoid those things. Talk to your lenders, let them know what's going on. Get yourself on payment plans, right? Just have awareness. That's the biggest thing. Have awareness of your position and let those people that you're involved with financially know what's going on. This is a very, very bad time to avoid finances. Oh, I don't want to look at my bank account, or I don't want to deal with that. This is a very, very bad time to do that. And if you do that, there will be big consequences later. So face it head on and put yourself in a better position. Or like I said, if you are in a good position, take advantage of your position. There's going to be opportunities right now to thrive. So put that money to work where you can. So good luck to you, Gemini. For Cancer, this is happening in your first house, and the first house rules you. your entire life, your physical body, your personality, your perception of the world, and the way other people perceive you. So this can be a very fantastic time for Cancers. This is a time to master yourself, to master your life. It's a time to be positive, right? We know that Cancer can kind of lean more on the pessimistic side. It's time to switch to being a bit more optimistic about yourself and about your life, and believing that life can be good, even though maybe you've experienced lots of difficulties or lots of challenges. It's a time to go, you know what? That was the past, that happened, this is now, and believing that you have good luck, believing that life can be beneficial, and just having more faith in general, right? More faith in yourself, more faith in the process, more faith in the journey of life. So this is a time for you to really nourish yourself first, okay? To not be worried about everyone else and what they're doing and if they're okay and how they're feeling and how they're perceiving you. This is a time for you to nourish yourself first. And it's a fantastic time for you to practice spirituality and on a daily basis, right? Jupiter rules your 6th house of work, health, and daily routine. So bringing spirituality into your daily life can be massively beneficial for you, and again, helping you to have that faith and to have that optimism, because sometimes you might be experiencing things just simply because of your perception. Your perception can be negative, or you could be experiencing self-fulfilling prophecies because you might be saying little sarcastic things like, oh, my life's a joke, or, nothing ever goes right for me, and therefore nothing goes right for you, right? So it's a time to just be a little bit more positive and just to kind of big yourself up, right? Jupiter is a very big energy. It's a very optimistic and expansive energy. So it's really time to pour in to you. You also do have Saturn that is in your 10th house of career, public reputation, and status. So you also are trying to, improve your position in the world right now. So you got to be positive, right? You really need to believe in yourself, because if you want other people to believe in you, you have to believe in yourself first. So it's really time for you to take care of you. So what you want to avoid at this time is relying on others for your happiness and your well-being, okay? You've got to take that responsibility into your own hands. You have to understand that no one is going to love you or take care of you better than you. Nobody gets you more than you. And you have to understand that. And you have to understand that everyone's going to be fine. Everyone's on their own journey. Everyone, came here with their own thing to do, and it's not dependent on you. It's not your responsibility to make sure people get to where it is they need to go, unless they're your child, of course. But you also want to avoid smothering others as a way of avoiding your own problems, okay? And again, you don't want to avoid your problems. If you're having problems, deal with them. Okay, this is a really good time for you to work with someone, to work with a guru, to work with a teacher. Jupiter rules your 9th house of gurus and teachers and spirituality. So it's a great time to work with those type of figures and beings. You may also want to get involved like with the church or something like that. So this is a good time to do that. And one thing you also really want to avoid, Cancer, is gaining weight. Jupiter can expand your body. So if you're not interested in gaining weight, you want to be careful about that. And for those of you who are trying to get pregnant, like I said, Jupiter can expand your body. So it is also possible that a pregnancy could happen during this time, okay? But all in all, Cancer, it really is time for you to focus on you and to improve the outlook of your life. So good luck to you. For Leo and Leo rising, Jupiter in Cancer will be going into your 12th house of endings, culminations, losses, spirituality, intuition, healing, isolation, mental health, and addictions. And so this is a time to prioritize your private life, to go within, to reflect, to heal, to forgive, and to let go. It's a time to understand and recognize what has run its course in your life, okay? Jupiter has now gone around the entire zodiac for you. It's gone around the whole cycle, and it's coming to a close now. So there may have been things that were really good and that served you at particular moments in time, but now you might be recognizing this thing, maybe it's time to start thinking about walking away from this. Maybe it's time to start thinking about moving on, or there might be something new that you want to start in your life, but you first need to end something first. So this is a time to do that. Jupiter rules your 8th house of death, rebirth, and transformation. So it's very likely that something needs to majorly change in your life, and you almost are being asked to grieve the past, to let go of the past, to understand that, hey, I did that, it was great while it lasted, but now I want to become a different person, or it's time for me to become a new person, and I've got to let go of these particular things in my life to make space for the new. Okay, so there could be a lot of grieving that you're doing behind the scenes, a lot of contemplating that you're doing behind the scenes, and ultimately, which can lead you to letting something go at the end of this transit in 2026. So just allow things to end. If it's time, it's time. Don't try to hang on to things. Don't try to keep things going longer than necessary. Just let it leave your life. This also is a time where you might be experiencing increased expenses, as well as the 12th house is about expenses. Granted, this can be for things that you enjoy. 12th house can bring trips to foreign lands, or maybe you're needing to invest in some type of healing or rehabilitation during this time, or you're investing in your spirituality in some way. If those opportunities come up and you feel like you want to take them, go for it. But just keep in mind like the whole picture of your finances when you're making these financial decisions. What you want to avoid at this time is being overly focused on the material world, okay? And getting too bogged down by everything that's going on, especially with your work. You might be someone who has like a particular career and it's really about like serving people, or maybe you have like a business or something and it's really about serving people. This is a time to, kind of focus less on that and focus more on yourself, and focus more on what's going on in your private life at this time, as opposed to trying to be helpful and useful to everybody else. Like right now, you really need to be helpful and useful to yourself, and also potentially to your children, as well, as Jupiter does rule your 5th house of children. It's very possible for some Leo rising you might be having a child at this time, and that's maybe why you're a little bit more behind the scenes. You might be transitioning into becoming a parent, or maybe becoming a parent for, the 2nd or 3rd or 4th time. And it's like you can't really focus on like the worldly material things that maybe you were used to focusing on, or maybe that got you in the position that you're in right now. It's time to change your focus, and to not get so caught up in, what everyone else is doing, and be more into what you're doing and in your private life and what's going on with you. So hopefully this is helpful for you, Leo, and good luck. For Virgo and Virgo rising, Jupiter in Cancer is going into your 11th house of your goals and plans and dreams for the future, as well as your house of friends, social networks, and recognition. It's also the house of gains from your career and the internet. So there's a lot that could be going on for Virgo risings. On one hand, there are a particular group of Virgo risings who have achieved something big at this time, and it's time for you now to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Okay, so maybe you've been working very hard for the past several years of your life, and you've accomplished a particular goal you've set out for yourself, and now you're able to live your dream life. Okay, so if that's the position that you're in, recognize what you've achieved, take time to celebrate it, take time to be proud of yourself, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And now you likely have more time to socialize and connect with other people now that maybe you're not constantly working. Jupiter rules your 7th house of relationships, so it's a great time to connect. It's a great time to network, get to know new people, to make new friends. This is a fantastic time for that, especially if you have some type of new goal you want to achieve, you're ready to step into this new era of life, then this is a great time to meet people. It's also a great time to put yourself out on the internet, share your knowledge, share your experience, because you likely have a lot of value that you can bring to the world at this time. This also is the house of gains from your career, so some of you might be retiring in the next year, or maybe you have enough in your 401k to, retire comfortably, or you've got enough dividend income to live off of. That definitely could be happening here. You're one of the signs that very well could be investing in real estate or selling your real estate for a profit at this time. So a lot of great things could be happening for Virgos. If you've kind of find yourself on the other side of the spectrum where you haven't quite yet gotten what you've wanted at this time, this is a time to reevaluate your goals, plans, and dreams for the future. Maybe you need to change something about your plans and set intentions for doing things different in order to get where it is that you'd like to go in the future. You might need to partner and work with new people, and this is a great time to find people to work with, to find benefactors or mentors or teachers that can help you to get where it is that you'd like to go. Use the internet as a resource for yourself because it can have great resources for you. Now, what you want to avoid at this time, Virgo, is the opposite house, which is the 5th house. So focusing too heavily on romantic interest or falling in love or focusing too much on your children, getting too wrapped up in them and their life. This really is your time to shine, and it's time for you to attract people to you as opposed to like you going out and bringing people into your world. Like, be the sunshine that people are attracted to. So it's a better time for that. You want to avoid getting too wrapped up in yourself and what you want to do, and be more like outward facing. Okay, you want to be more like extroverted. You want to be out there, be available for others, like let people know, hey, I'm here, and I'm available to chat, I'm available to collaborate with, I'm available to connect with, as opposed to kind of just being focused on yourself and your own life. You can meet a lot of people by putting yourself out there during this time. And, avoid focusing too much on the past because you really are stepping into your future at this time. The 11th house is more about the future. So think about more about the now and where you'd want to be as opposed to where you've already been. So good luck to you, Virgo. For Libra and Libra rising, Jupiter in Cancer will be in your 10th house of your career, public reputation, and status. This also rules authority, leadership, and the legacy that you leave behind. And the 10th house also refers to your father. So this is an incredible time for you to improve your career. It's going to provide you the ability to be seen more. So, take advantage of that visibility to put yourself in a better position. This is a time for you to level up in a way. So, to go beyond your current level and to expand yourself to the next level. And that's going to require you to do things that you've never done before. It's maybe going to require you to become a different version of yourself that you've never been before. But that's the whole point of Jupiter. It's about growth. And if you're not growing, then you're dying. So if you want to get to a higher level in your career, you've got to grow beyond your current limitations. This is a great time for you to partner with authorities or to work with leadership or to work with management. Okay, ask for more responsibilities. Ask to put more things, to have more responsibilities on your plate. Don't shy away from doing more work. Lean in. Okay, that's gonna get you noticed. It's gonna let people know that you're interested, as opposed to just asking for a raise. It's like, well, actually expand your value, become more valuable, and then the money will follow. Okay, so embrace leadership roles. It's also a time to speak up. Jupiter rules your 3rd house of communication. So closed mouths don't get fed, right? Speak up. Ask for what you want. Put yourself out there. Improve your ability to communicate. This is a great time for those of you who maybe are on social media to get your point across or to become more of an authority in your field. You want to structure your daily life and your daily routine for success, as Jupiter rules your 6th house of work, health, and daily routine. So make it a part of your routine to do these healthy habits and let go of any self-sabotaging habits that you do that prevent you from being more successful. So if you know that you're someone that likes to procrastinate, or you know that you're someone that shies away from responsibility, or you're not very good at communication, these are things that you might be doing currently right now that are sabotaging your ability to have more success. So work through those self-limiting behaviors. Now, what you want to avoid at this time is focusing too much on home and family. This doesn't mean just, completely ignore them or ignore your living situation. It's just don't focus too much on it. There's not going to be a whole lot of value that you're going to be getting out of that. You don't want to get too wrapped up in like family drama or letting the past hold you back, especially issues that you have with your parents. It's possible that maybe you haven't currently gotten to the heights that you'd like to into your career because of your parents in some way. Maybe you develop characteristics from your childhood that don't really allow you to thrive in the workplace or don't allow you to have the confidence to rise up. And so this is a time to work through any of those issues. The ruler of your 4th house, Saturn, is currently in the 7th house of relationships. So it's possible that your family relationship is impacting you in more ways than one right now. So, be mindful of that. Be aware of how that's maybe impacting you and work through it in a very structured way. If you need to see someone about it, if you need to speak to a therapist or speak to a healer about it, do it, but don't let it become your main focus at this time. Okay? So good luck to you, Libra. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising, Jupiter in Cancer is going into your 9th house of your beliefs, your worldview, religion, culture, higher education, foreign travel, and teaching. So this is a fantastic time for you to expand your world view. So it's a very good time for you to travel and to travel beyond your current limitations, to kind of get out of your own way, so to speak, and to go beyond your level of understanding and to find a higher level of understanding. So travel is an amazing way to do that. Travel is a very humbling experience, and it teaches you so much in such a short period of time, and it helps you to see life from other people's point of view. It's also a great time for you to seek out higher education. So if you've been wanting to get your master's or get your PhD, this could be a great time for you to do that, especially if it's going to help to better put you in a better position in the workplace. So this could be a great time for that. It's also a great time to seek out teachers in your life, to find gurus, to find people who are more advanced in life at something than you, people who have some type of specialized knowledge, and to work underneath them. Again, to kind of like humble yourself to someone else's knowledge, and to put your understanding to the side. Like I said, it's a great time to learn about different cultures and different religions. It could be a great time to learn a new language, which is another very humbling experience. If you personally are a teacher, or you're a guru, or you have some type of specialized knowledge, teach something that you know. Start a social media page. Teach about teach your philosophy, teach your values. Maybe write a course or write a book, publish something for public consumption. So it's a good time to either teach or to be the teacher. And invest in your knowledge is a great way to spend your money at this time. What you want to avoid at this time is having too much pride, having too much arrogance, or carrying around this holier than thou behavior of I know that, or I don't need to do that. I don't need to learn that. I already know everything about that. We're never the expert. Any good teacher will tell you the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And learning is a lifelong experience. So even if you have a lot of experience in something, or you've been learning something for a long time, again, take it to the next level. If you are so good at it, then you teach it, right? And even when you do that, you learn even more. So try not to stick to what you know. Try to do something different. Try to do something new. Get beyond your kind of limitations that you've created for yourself, and don't get too caught up in like the daily life and the daily grind, and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Like, yes, we've all got to do that, right? But to grow as a human, to grow as an individual, we got to expand our mind, okay? And this is a great time for you to do that. So good luck to you, Scorpio. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, Jupiter in Cancer will be moving into your 8th house of death, rebirth, and transformation. This is the house of intimacy, the house of secrets and our fears and the way our psychology works. It also controls over power as well as other people's money. So this is probably one of the more interesting placements for Jupiter in Cancer, because this transit is going to ask you to face your fears. So if there is something that scares you, as opposed to leaning out, it's a time to lean in. Learn about what scares you. Maybe it's scary because you don't know enough about it. And as with any transit, it's always better to jump than to be pushed. And so if you know that there's something that you're dealing with on a very deep level, there's some type of secret you've been keeping, and you don't want it to blow up in your face, or you don't want it to get exposed to you or come up in a way where you have to face it, deal with it head on. Okay? seek out trusted people to help you overcome your fears. And more than likely, these fears are coming from your childhood, as Jupiter does rule your fourth house of home and family and your upbringing. So that's likely where a lot of these fears and insecurities stem from. So, like I said, lean in. Try to get ahead of these things. Leverage other people's resources, right? So if someone has some type of specialized knowledge on something, leverage their knowledge to help you, as opposed to trying to figure everything out on your own. Also, this rules finances as well, specifically joint finances. So this could be a time where you could benefit from other people's money. So if you did want to start a business, or you needed money in some way, you actually might be someone who benefits from taking on debt, from leveraging debt. You could be someone that maybe at this time is taking on a mortgage. Okay, obviously do these things within reason, do your research, but this could be beneficial for you. Okay, what you want to try to avoid at this time is doing everything on your own, or avoiding asking for help, avoiding vulnerability, avoiding intimacy, being afraid of letting others help you, because this could really be holding you back. And maybe you've been able to go on up until now pretty fine, but you might be hitting a block in your life where it's like, okay, I'm not really making progress. I don't really know why. And it could be a good time for you to partner with other people to get over the hurdles that are preventing you from getting to the levels in life that you want to get to. There's a really good quote that I think about all the time, that I say all the time, is, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And maybe you are very capable of doing things on your own, Sag, and maybe you've gotten a lot of success out of doing things quickly and on your own, and, following your own compass. As Jupiter also rules you. You are ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the ruler of your chart. So, you trust yourself and you trust your intuition and you have a very strong worldview. But maybe it's time for you to change parts of your worldview with your chart ruler going through the 8th house. Maybe it's time for you to change the way that you think about things. And maybe you need to partner with other people to kind of, get to new heights and new levels that you just simply cannot get to on your own. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful for you, gave you a little bit of insight, something to think about, and good luck to you, Sagittarius. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, Jupiter in Cancer will be going into your 7th house of other people. So this is the house that rules over our committed relationships, our spouse, our partnerships, contracts, negotiations, agreements, and clients. So this is a really good time for you to partner with people, okay? You can have incredible people come into your life right now that can benefit you in some way. Now, the way that you want to use this energy is to first understand you, okay? 50% of a relationship, 50% of a partnership, a contract is about you and what you want and what you need. So you first want to understand, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish in my life right now? What do I bring to the table? And what do I need? Okay, once you then understand that, then it's going to be easier to find the right people to partner with, because you'll understand, okay, that person has what I'm looking for. And you also will be able to identify, okay, I have something that that person is looking for. And that's how you're going to have good relationships during this time. So you want to get really good at kind of understanding yourself and your own desires, because Jupiter rules your 12th house of your subconscious. So when you're dealing with relationships, it's kind of like you have a little bit of a blind spot. And so you want to try to expose this blind spot in yourself. Because if you don't expose the blind spot, other people are going to see it in you and they can take advantage of it. So you need to be aware of what your blind spot is. And second, you need to communicate about what you want, because Jupiter also rules your third house of communication. So as you're dealing with people, as you're dealing with clients, as you're dealing with doing negotiations, etc., you need to make sure that you're clearly communicating what it is that you're looking for, and that you're also listening to what other people want and quickly identifying whether or not you and that person can be valuable to each other. So you want to bring value, but you also want to know who's valuable to you. This is also a really good time to master the art of negotiation as well as compromise. So you'll have the ability to partner with a lot of people during this time, but you want to really hone in on who are the right people for me, and vice versa, who am I the right person for as well, and to not waste your time on anyone who you can't serve properly and who they can't serve you properly either. Okay? So what you want to avoid at this time is not understanding your own motivations, not understanding your own blind spots. You don't want to make assumptions in relationship like, oh, well, I thought because of this and they said that, I just assumed. No, you want to have clear communication. You want to ask the clarifying questions. You want to make sure people hear you. You want to make sure that you're hearing other people properly. Don't just assume something about somebody. You want to avoid being overly trusting and overly giving, but you also want to avoid being selfish as well. Okay, so seventh house is all about finding balance. So you want to find the balance between you and the other people in your life, or the other people that you're trying to form partnerships and agreements with as well. Okay? So hopefully that is helpful for you, Capricorn. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, Jupiter in Cancer will be in your sixth house of work, health, and daily routine. This is also the service that you provide, as well as your habits, your nutrition, your exercise. It also rules over your coworkers and your employees if you have them, and it also talks about your pets if you have them. So with Jupiter coming into your sixth house, Aquarius, expect an increase in your work or the service that you provide. So this can be a blessing, this could be a curse, but you will likely see an increase in the amount of hours that are available to you at your job. You might have more business that is coming in. So this could be an opportunity for you to get ahead in some way. And if you are experiencing an increase in your work or an increase in your business and you're making more money, make sure you save that money. Make sure you invest that money in things towards your future. Don't just spend that extra money feeling like, you have it. See it more as a temporary opportunity. Prioritize taking care of yourself, right? If you are working more, you want to make sure that you're also taking care of yourself. And this is a really good time to learn about health, to learn about exercise, and also to learn about longevity as well. As Jupiter does rule your house of the future, you might want to be thinking about your long-term health outlook. This is also a really good time to find helpful healers or helpful practitioners or doctors that can maybe help you to overcome some type of health issue or challenge that you might be dealing with. Maybe you've tried to find people and you haven't been able to find them. Well, now maybe you find the right doctor that gives you the treatment that really helps you to overcome something. If you have employees or you have a business, this is a good time to hire. It's a good time to outsource, to not feel like you need to do everything yourself, this would be a really good time for you to bring someone on. And also, if you would like, this could be a great time to get a pet as well. What you want to avoid is you want to avoid laziness, you want to avoid procrastination, and just avoid avoidance, Dive in, okay? Dive in at this time. Take all the opportunities that are coming in for you. And like I said, if you're working more and you're making more, don't spend your gains on unnecessary things or vices. Save that money, invest it into something that's going to benefit you in the future, okay? So this is actually really great for Aquarius, so good luck to you. For Pisces and Pisces rising, Jupiter and Cancer will be in your 5th house of love, dating, romance. It's also the house of children, as well as creativity, hobbies, and self-employment. So this is bringing great energy to your life, Pisces. Cancer is a fellow water sign, and this is going to be making a trine or a very beneficial aspect to your sign. So you stand to gain from this. Furthermore, Jupiter is the ruler of your chart. So you are Jupiter. Jupiter going into the 5th house is a very positive thing. So take advantage of the year ahead. Now, what you want to do with Jupiter in your 5th house is you want to have more fun, okay? It's a time to enjoy yourself more. It's a time to express yourself more. You want to increase the amount of time that you're spending on a hobby or a passion project. You want to be passionate about something, okay? It's a time to have your heart open, not closed down. It's also a great time to spend more time with your children if you have them, or spend more time with children in general. Or if you're trying to get pregnant, this could be a time where that happens for you, okay? So plan accordingly whether you'd like children or not. This is also a very good time to invest in what is interesting to you. So if you have some type of hobby or creative thing you like to do, invest in the things that you need to do that particular hobby. It's also a very good time to turn a gift, skill, or talent that you have into a source of income, right? Because Jupiter not only rules you, but it also rules your 10th house of career. So you can take something you're good at and make a career out of it. So if you're looking to make a little bit of extra money at this particular moment in time, or you want to turn a side hustle into your main hustle, then you can definitely do that, okay? You also can have increased opportunities for love. There could be more people available to you in the dating market, or you can be having more romantic times with a partner. So take advantage of that as well. What you want to avoid at this time is becoming overly obsessed with a love interest, or becoming overly obsessed with your children or the idea of having children. The 5th house is really about going with the flow and just taking things easy. So you also don't want to be thinking too far ahead and avoid enjoying the moment, right? Also, one thing I'd like to point out with the 5th house is 5th house is about dating. It's not about commitment. Commitment happens in the 7th house. So this is just a time to date and enjoy yourself and have fun. Don't worry too much about where things are going and what's going to happen in the future. If someone is making you happy right now, just enjoy it. And if it's meant to be, this person will come a part of your daily life. And if they come a part of your daily life, then it's more likely that you and this person will enter a commitment. But the first step of being in a romantic relationship is just falling in love. So just fall in love. Just enjoy yourself. Don't be afraid of losing think more about what you can gain, right? Jupiter is positive. Jupiter is optimistic. It's not thinking about what if I lose out. It's willing to take a risk. So you have to be willing to take a risk with your heart. You have to be willing to take a risk with your time. You have to be willing to take a risk on a hobby or a passion project. Okay? So hopefully that is helpful for you, Pisces. So those are my thoughts about Jupiter in Cancer, and those are my predictions for all of the 12 signs. What do you think? How are you feeling right now? What are you excited about? What new things are you going to do? What are you worried about? Let me know down in the comments. And if you guys would like me to read your chart personally and tell you what's going on in your chart for Jupiter and Cancer, then I highly recommend coming in for a reading. I will leave the link for my readings down below. So take care and good luck.